Hello, Just Gem here, and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. Today, and indeed yesterday, I used my Beauty Bay Smoky palette to create this pretty intense, dark, smoky eye. So that would be a pretty appropriate palette to use to create this kind of look. If you'd like to see how I created it, sit tight, because that's what's coming up. Today I thought I'd sit down and get stuck into my Smoky palette by Beauty Bay. I did actually attempt this yesterday, but I'd forgotten what black eyeshadows can be like if you just dive straight in there. So this is take two. Normally I just use concealer to prime my eyelids, and I know that technically that's a big no-no because concealer's got moisture in it, and the last thing you want to do is put moisture on your lids, especially if you've got oily lids. Really you should be using an eyeshadow primer, but I've never found one that I really like. But I watch Robert Welsh and he mentioned that the Sigma eyeshadow primers are really good. So not too long ago Sigma had a sale and they had free shipping to the UK as well. So I picked up the Sigma eyeshadow base primer in the shade Ignite. So I'm going to use that to prep my lids. This was one step when I attempted this yesterday which I did like and that did work, so I'm glad I picked this up. And I think Ignite is the lightest shade of the primer, and I wondered if maybe for my skin tone that would be too light, but when you blend it out and oh, that's disturbed my contact lens underneath. Is it back? Yep, it's back in. I found that it's not too light actually. I think it's probably perfect. I think if I did go for a darker shade it might be too dark, and that any shadows I applied on the top wouldn't necessarily pop quite so much. So I think the shade Ignite was the correct way to go. I've also noticed lately that my eyelids seem especially dark. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's an age thing or prolonged exposure to the sun, or just that I've never noticed it before. But yeah, my lids seem to be a bit dark, so I think the lighter the primer I can get away with, the better. Might just add a smidge more there. I've never really carved out my brows before. Like, everyone seems to have like a really fancy, detailed brow process that they go through, to the point where they always do it off camera. After attempting to do some kind of proper brow routine, I can understand why people do it off camera. So I don't really know if, I don't know how different they look. To be honest, I am quite lucky. I have been blessed, in my opinion, with pretty decent brows and they don't need much work. So if there's a step that I don't have to spend a lot of time doing, then I will appreciate that. I'm wondering if I should do one eye off camera, especially with the trouble I had yesterday, make sure I know what I'm doing and then come back and do the other eye. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. So where I went wrong yesterday is I went straight in with the black, just dumped it on my lid basically, and then obviously found it was a complete nightmare to blend, which is not the fault of the shadow, it's the lack of, well, it's my fault. Black shadows, especially when they're really pigmented, you've got to be really careful, and the black shade in this Smoky palette, Tattoo, is very pigmented, so you've got to be careful with it. I've got the shape here. I used some tape, so obviously it's very sharp at the moment, but I will tidy that up. But I did it on my left eye because I suck at doing my left eye, and I thought I would come back and do my right eye on camera. My plan had been to film yesterday so I could kind of do my cleaning today, do a workout. I have already done my workout, so I've been somewhat productive today. But yeah, it would have been nice to have been done with filming so I could chill today, but this is quite chilled as well, to be fair. So I've had this smoky palette. Obviously I know it's not new. I think it's the newest 42 pan palette from Beauty Bay. And the newest to my collection, but I've just not had a chance to dig in just yet. I've also had this weird thing where my skin in general is sort of playing up, and I'm getting hives, and my lip will swell up and my eyes will swell up, so it's been quite tricky just to kind of play around with makeup, because I haven't wanted to be rough on my skin, and you know, like apply heavy makeup to the point where, you know, sometimes you've got to be quite, I mean, you can be gentle when you're scrubbing it off, obviously, and no one's expecting you to sort of go in, but sometimes you do have to double or even triple cleanse to kind of get all the makeup off, and I haven't wanted to do that to aggravate my skin. So I'm starting to build up quite a few palettes that are new to me, but I haven't actually dived into. I didn't need to dip back in, so this is what I mean. This is very pigmented shadow. I most definitely did not need to go back in. I could have just used what was there, but I went in anyway. I seem to be, I don't know, I seem to go back and forth on which eye I'm able to do better. Do they match? Are they sisters at the very least? If not twins, cousins at the bare minimum. Originally yesterday I'd gone in with the shade Cauldron, but so that's the third one in at the bottom here, but for me that wasn't enough of a contrast, so what I ended up going in with instead was Dreams, which is this shade here, and I like to apply these shades with a finger. So, by the way, so I was using a Refa 13 to do all of that with my black shadow. And I'm now going to go in with a Refa number 2. When you have hooded eyes like me, you do have to take it quite high to be able to see it. I'm pretty late to the Beauty Bay shadow party. I've seen lots of people use them in the past and rate them really highly and say that the formula is great, but for some reason I've never really taken the plunge and bought one, and I couldn't tell you why, because they're insanely affordable. I think when they're full price, the 42 pound palettes like this are 25 quid, and Beauty Bay products are always on sale, and they do bundles as well. So Beauty Bay palettes are not to be slept on, as I am currently finding out. So this is my third one now. I think the first one I bought was Earthy, and then I got Rich, which is just stunning, and I've now added Smoky to that collection. I can probably take that off now, can't I? And then the last colour I used, I can't remember if it was Seltzer or Starfall. The last two shades here. Huh, which one? I think I'm going to go in with Starfall. Now I'm wondering to myself if I need to almost go backwards a little bit and fill up my collection sort of historically, you know, go back and pick up some of the older palettes. Wow, that's intense. Let's blend that in. See, this is why I like to use my finger, because it just gives you that intensity that you just sometimes cannot get with a brush. See, I don't know if I want to bring in the black a bit more or if I quite like it like that. Because I'm thinking by the time I've added black to the bottom bit, I don't know if I'd want more black. Maybe a tiny bit. Tiny bit. Yeah, that's better. It was just a little bit harsh, I found, at the corners, but I think that's taken that harshness off. I think what I'll do now is finish off my base and then do the bottom of my lids. Let us now do my under eye, and I think I'll use my Refa number 2 again, so I'll just clean off the sparkly shadows that I've been using. I do need to do a proper clean of my brushes, but like Cinema Secrets or ISO Clean is just a godsend when you need to clean in between use. You know, you've also got something like a Sigma switch will take off the pigment, so that's also good. But sometimes, especially because I've been using black shadow, I mean, I should have showed you what that looked like before, but that was covered in all sorts. Right, so we're going to go back in with Tattoo. Trust me. I've got no idea what sound that was. Just dumped a whole load of black eyeshadow on the top of my cheek. If I sweep this up, I'll just get my beauty blender, which has still got some concealer left on it. I think I've done a much better job on this eye. This is what I mean. I'm normally better on this eye. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm going to finish off my face using my Made by Mitchell curve case, which I'm loving at the moment. Actually, I used a Shy Boy blush. This dries quite quickly, so we'll do one side and then the other. I really liked this blush with this eye look. Made by Mitchell is another brand, as well as like Beauty Bay's own brand. Why haven't I put this on silent yet? Good grief. Yeah, so Made by Mitchell is another brand that's absolutely killing it at the moment. So obviously he released the curve case in light, medium and deep, so I've got the deep version. And he's now released lighter for the extra fair folk out there and deeper for the extra deep folk out there. And I looked at deeper and I was like, oh, I kind of want it. I do not need more blush, but we're putting it on anyway. I saw deeper and I was like, ooh, I really want it. But I don't know how I would use it. Like the blush, like the purpley blushes in there, I think I could use, and I think they would look really good. But like the bronze and the contour shades, those are extra deep, as you can imagine. I mean, it's called deeper for a reason. So I don't know how I would use those. That's a lot of blush I've put on there. But I don't know what it is. It's like my face eats blush. I put it on, especially intensely, like this. And it's like my face just goes and sucks the blush up. I don't know where it goes. But yeah, a shy boy. I really like that with that look. And with my Refa number 5. Did I use my Refa number 5 for this? No, I didn't. I used a random, this is Lamora. Years and years ago, Lamora kept doing these deals where you could get eyeshadow palettes and brushes, like brush sets, for £1. I remember stocking up. I don't think I've got those Lamora palettes anymore, but I still have some of the brushes and they're really good, actually, I've got to say. So I'm going in with Blend and Snatch, this one here, as my bronze shade. My bronzer shade. Just around the perimeter. And yeah, I mean, I have some powder bronzers, but I don't know how keen I've been on bronzing until this palette. But yeah, that's added a very nice bronzy look. Adding some bronze there. Yeah, I like that. And you got to be light-handed with Made by Mitchell products. They are pretty pigmented. I think I'm used to it now. I get how they work. Do I want to contour with a bit of rituation on the same brush? Yeah, I might contour a little bit. I'm being extra cautious here, especially because this is a really deep shade, so you're probably looking at me thinking, for God's sake, woman, shove that brush in there and get it on your face. But I'm just very, very conscious that it's a lot easier, see what I mean? It's a lot easier to build up than it is to take away. Technically speaking, I don't even know if I'm applying these right. Like, I think I am. To me, that looks pretty good. I'm wondering if I should go in with a highlighter, but I almost, because my eyes are so sparkly, I don't know if I want to add a highlighter on the top of that. I'm using some yellow powder to see about giving some brightness. With my Laura Mercier powder puff, I want to invest in those powder puffs that are little triangles, because I think it'll just be easier to get right in there. That tends to be how I like to brighten the centre part of my face. Possibly look a tad ghosty now, but once I've gone in with some setting spray, that should fix that. I can't remember if I mentioned it in my last video or if I ended up editing that bit out, but I could not for the life of me find my Laura Mercier deep setting powder. and as I said in my video, or possibly not if I did edit it out, it was staring me in the face the entire time. See this? I'm just going to use to set the rest of my face. Now I think I'm going to decide on a lipstick colour and I will be back. While I was debating what lipstick to wear, I realised that I hadn't actually put any mascara on, nor had I done a lower lash. What is it called when you run a pencil in your lower lid? I hadn't put liner in my waterline. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Good lord. So I'm going to do that now. Apologies if you're like maybe a tad squeamish. So this is just a silver Fenty one. At the moment I'm alternating between the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir Major Volume Mascara that I've actually had a while but I've never used, but I dug it out the other day and realised it was in fact rather nice. So I'm alternating between this and the Pat McGrath Dark Star. I'm hoarding mascara at the moment. A lot of them are unopened, which is obviously a good thing because you shouldn't really be keeping mascara for a long time. But my battery died. I'm still not used to this. Plus I think my battery is a little bit older. I don't know why it doesn't seem to last that long. I was convinced I'd have enough juice because I didn't end up filming an entire video yesterday. So I just assumed there'd be enough charge. There wasn't. I had to stop, charge my battery, and now I'm back again. I'm here more or less to film an outro because I've picked the lippy I want. So in my last video I was testing out the She Glam Mirror Kiss High Shine lipsticks, which, spoiler alert, I really enjoyed, you know, if you haven't seen that one yet. And I've decided to put on High Key because I thought this worked quite well with this look. I think I commented that it was 2 o'clock earlier on. It's now 20 to 6, so I'm not going to have this on for much longer. But considering I've finished putting on, I mean, it's a good longevity test, isn't it? So this has been on my face about 4 hours and it's looking pretty decent, and that's without setting spray. Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. And annoyingly, this random breaking out in hives and swelling of lips that I'm currently experiencing has occurred. So my lip is ever so slightly swollen. After filming yesterday, messing up, fixing my mistake, learning where I went wrong, coming back on, starting again, still being cautious, running out of battery, editing a whole entire other video while I waited for my battery to charge, I'm finally done. I've got to say I'm very, very impressed with this smoky palette and I'm looking forward to seeing what other looks I can create. You can get a lot out of that. I mean, there's some brown shades in here, there are some shades with like some blue hues going on in here, there's some grey, there's some silver. It's more versatility in there than you might think, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing with that some more. Only my third palette from Beauty Bay, but another absolute belter, and I would definitely highly recommend that. I'm going to end this video that's taken the best part of 2 days to film. I hope it's been useful. I hope that it's given you a bit of inspiration. If you've been on the fence about smoky, hopefully it's helped you to decide. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you again in a video in the not too distant future. Bye!